Pressure doesn't arrive politely. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't wait for clarity. It just appears when something matters. And it demands a response. Most of us think that being calm is a personality trait. We believe some people are just born composed, while others are naturally wired to panic. But here's the truth. Calm isn't a gift. It's a trained condition. Pressure simply reveals what your mind has been practicing all along. When nothing is at stake, anyone can appear relaxed. But when time starts to shrink, when the consequences get real, and uncertainty closes in, the mind always reverts to its deepest, most ingrained habits. This video is about those habits. It's about the books that quietly teach the mind how to stay steady when the moment becomes heavy. Long before modern neuroscience, one of the most pressured human beings in history wrote notes to himself every night. In his book, Meditations, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wasn't writing philosophy to be admired. He was writing instructions for his own survival. Here was a man surrounded by war, plague, betrayal, and death. He didn't rely on hope. He relied on preparation. He trained his mind to accept reality, and to accept it quickly. He refused to waste energy arguing with what already was. For him, calm wasn't about feeling emotionally comfortable. It was about obedience to reason. Pressure loses its grip the moment the mind stops resisting the facts. That exact same discipline appears centuries later in Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way. In this book, pressure is it's not a signal to retreat, but raw material to be shaped. When most people face resistance, they see an obstruction and think failure. But a trained mind sees friction and thinks direction. Calm emerges when you realize the struggle isn't personal. It's when a difficulty becomes information instead of an insult. But philosophy alone isn't always enough, especially when your body is afraid. In Gonzales' Deep Survival, we read about real people facing real danger. Plane crashes, extreme weather, moments where a single flicker of panic means death. And the survivors all share one fundamental trait. They accept reality faster than everyone else. They stop hoping things were different. They stop wishing for rescue. They calmly orient themselves to their new situation, and they act. Panic wastes precious energy. Calm conserves it. Clarity only arrives when denial ends. Pressure doesn't destroy your mind by force. It just exposes the weaknesses that were already there. This idea is taken even deeper in Nassim Taleb's Antifragile. Some systems break when you put them under stress, but others actually get stronger. Your mind is no different. A mind that's been sheltered from all discomfort becomes brittle and fragile, but a mind that is gradually exposed to uncertainty becomes resilient. You see, calm is not the absence of stress. It is a deep familiarity with it. To understand how a mind collapses under pressure, you first have to understand how it thinks. In Daniel Kahneman's Thinking, Fast and Slow, we learn that pressure acts like an accelerator for our mental shortcuts. The mind defaults to instinct. It reacts before it even has a chance to reason. Calm thinkers have learned how to slow that moment down just enough to regain control. They intentionally insert a tiny pause between the stimulus and their response. That pause isn't hesitation. It's mastery, and often it's our emotions that collapse that pause. In Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, we see that emotions aren't our enemies. They're just signals. People who can notice their own emotional shifts early are able to regulate them before they completely hijack their behavior. Calm isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about awareness. An emotion you don't recognize becomes panic. An emotion you do recognize becomes information. But pressure becomes truly unbearable when it feels meaningless. This is why Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning is not just a survival story. It's a manual for psychological endurance. Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, observed that people who had a purpose, a reason to live, endured suffering far more steadily than those who only had comfort. Meaning acts as an anchor for the mind. When your why is strong enough, the how of pressure becomes tolerable. Modern life has become so efficient at removing discomfort that our minds have forgotten how to carry weight. In The Comfort Crisis, Michael Easter argues that we need to reintroduce voluntary discomfort as a form of training. Cold showers, hunger, silence, intense effort. He found that people who regularly practice being uncomfortable in a calm, controlled way respond much better when stress is forced upon them. Calm under pressure is rehearsed in advance. Even uncertainty itself becomes less frightening when you study it. In Peter Bernstein's Against the Gods, the concept of risk is no longer some mystical force. It becomes something measurable. Fear shrinks when randomness is understood. Calm emerges when you stop taking uncertainty personally, and mortality sharpens our focus. In Paul Kalanithe's When Breath Becomes Air, we see how a terminal diagnosis can make urgency precise instead of frantic. When you know your time is finite, pressure simplifies your priorities. The trivial things dissolve. Only the essential remains. Zen philosophy brings this sense of calm back to its simplest form. In Shunryu Suzuki's Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, we learn that expectation is what creates tension. A beginner's mind lets it go. Pressure dissolves when the mind stops demanding specific outcomes and simply engages with the present process. Then there's the shock that no one predicts. In The Black Swan, Nassim Taleb teaches us to accept radical unpredictability as a permanent feature of life. Calm, in this view, doesn't require certainty. It requires robustness. The people who expect chaos are never shaken by it. Finally, presence becomes the ultimate training ground in Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. Pressure only exists in your thoughts about the past or the future. Your body is always right here, in this moment. By returning your attention to the present, the imagined catastrophes collapse. Across all of these incredible books, the pattern is clear. Calm is not something you have. It's something you build, layer by layer, experience by experience. It's constructed through exposure, through meaning, through awareness, and through restraint. Pressure will never disappear from your life, but it no longer has to control you. The people who stay calm under pressure don't feel less than you do. They simply see more. They accept reality faster. They react slower. And because of that, they decide better. Calm isn't softness. It's strength without the noise. This is ThinkSlow Books, where pressure becomes training and calm becomes your greatest skill. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more deep dives into transformative ideas.